A dog stares at you from across the room, its eyes locked on yours, and for just a second you wonder, what is going through that animal's head right now? Is it thinking about food? Is it afraid? Does it even recognize you as something alive? Here's what's wild. Scientists have actually been studying this, and the answers are nothing like what most people expect. Because by the end of this video, you're going to understand something that most people never think about: how the animal kingdom actually perceives us. Not just dogs or cats. We're talking prey animals, predators, wild animals that have never been touched by a human hand. And one animal in particular processes the sight of a human in a way that will genuinely change how you think about the species. Let's start with something basic. When an animal sees you, the very first thing happening in its brain is a threat assessment. Not a hello, not curiosity. A threat assessment. Every animal that has survived long enough to exist today is running a program that asks one question the moment something enters its field of vision. Is this going to kill me, or can I ignore it? Now, here's where humans are strange. We don't fit neatly into any category. We're not fast. We're not particularly strong compared to most large animals. We don't have claws or natural venom. But we walk upright, which in the animal world is actually rare and unsettling. Most animals communicate size and threat through posture and height. And a human standing fully upright, making direct eye contact, looks, to a prey animal, like something about to attack. This is why deer freeze. This is why rabbits bolt. They're not reacting to your smell or your sound first. They're reacting to your silhouette, your shape. The upright posture of a primate that for millions of years was a predator. Now let's talk about dogs, because dogs are the most studied case of animal-human perception, and what researchers have found is remarkable. Dogs do not see humans as other dogs. That used to be the assumption, that dogs sort of lumped us into their social category and treated us like big weird pack members. That's not accurate. Dogs have actually developed a completely separate mental category for humans over roughly 15,000 years of domestication. They recognize us as a distinct kind of being. Here's the proof. When a dog is stressed or scared, it looks to a human for reassurance. Wolves, even hand-raised socialized wolves, do not do this. They look around. They try to solve the problem themselves. Dogs look at your face. That behavior is not learned, it's genetic. Dogs were literally bred to read human expressions, to watch our eyes, to track where we're looking. Studies using eye tracking technology showed that dogs spend more time looking at human eyes than at any other part of the body. They are scanning you for emotional information. They want to know what you're feeling, not because they're being polite. Because in their mind, your emotional state is information they need to navigate the world safely. But what about wild animals? The ones that haven't spent 15,000 years around us, when a wild animal that has had no previous exposure to humans encounters one for the first time, something interesting happens. In many cases, especially on isolated islands or in protected reserves where humans have never hunted, the animals show almost no fear. Darwin himself noted this when he visited the Galapagos Islands. The birds would land on his shoulder. The iguanas ignored him completely. The animals there had no inherited fear of the human shape because we had never been a threat to them. This tells us something important. The fear response most wild animals have toward humans is not instinctive. It's learned. It's passed down through generations. A mother elk that ran from hunters teaches her calf to run from humans. That behavior gets reinforced, generation after generation, until it looks like instinct. But it isn't. It's cultural memory. Now here's where it gets fascinating. Crows. Crows don't just see you, they remember you. A study out of the University of Washington had researchers wear specific masks while trapping and banding crows. The crows were then released. Months later, in some cases years later, those same crows would dive bomb and scold any person wearing that same mask. even if that person had never interacted with them before. Even if the bird doing the scolding wasn't the one that was originally trapped. The crows taught other crows. They communicated the threat. They passed the information socially, and they held a grudge, a very specific face-based grudge, for years. This means when a crow looks at you, it may be doing something very close to what you do when you look at a stranger. It's checking your face against a mental database. Asking, have I seen this face before? Is this face dangerous? Elephants take this even further. Elephants in Kenya have been studied in relation to two local groups. The Maasai, whose young men traditionally proved their manhood by spearing elephants, and the Kamba, a farming group that posed much less of a threat. Researchers showed elephants' clothing from each group. The elephants consistently showed fear and aggression toward red Maasai clothing and relative calm around Kamba clothing. They weren't just reacting to color, they were making cultural distinctions, recognizing a group of humans as distinct from another group. An elephant looking at a human isn't just seeing a person, it's categorizing you. It's asking, what kind of human are you and what does your kind do? So earlier I mentioned one animal that processes the sight of a human in a way that will change how you think about the species. That animal is the octopus. Octopuses have been documented doing something that still puzzles researchers. They recognize individual humans. In aquarium settings, octopuses have been observed behaving differently, sometimes aggressively, towards specific staff members while remaining calm around others. One octopus at a lab in New Zealand was documented squirting water at a particular researcher every time that researcher walked past. No other researcher. Just that one. The part that makes this wild is that an octopus brain shares almost no evolutionary history with a mammal brain. The last common ancestor between a human and an octopus lived roughly 750 million years ago. And yet, somehow, through a completely different path of evolution, the octopus arrived at the ability to identify individual human faces and form something that looks a lot like a personal opinion about specific people. That means the capacity to see a human as an individual, as a specific recognizable person, didn't evolve once. It evolved multiple times, independently, because it's just that useful. So what does all of this tell us? Animals don't see us as background. They don't see us as neutral objects moving through their world. When an animal looks at you, it is running a complex evaluation. It's reading your posture, your gaze, your movement pattern, your smell, sometimes your face, sometimes your clothes. It's comparing you to past experiences and inherited memory. It's asking questions that are surprisingly sophisticated. We tend to think of ourselves as the observers, the ones studying nature, watching animals through fences and screens and telephoto lenses. But the animals are watching back. And in many cases, they're doing it with more attention and more memory than we give them credit for. The next time an animal looks at you, whether it's a crow on a telephone wire, a dog in a shelter, or a deer at the edge of a field, understand that something is happening in that moment. A mind built by millions of years of very different pressures than yours is processing your existence, placing you in a category, deciding what you mean. You are not invisible to the animal world. You never were. If this made you think differently about the animals around you, there's probably a lot more on this channel that will do the same thing. Stick around.